everybody. So Mrs. Gabby G here, back with you today on a different type of a video. I'm really excited to come back with you and share this type of a subject with you. It's one of my Change of Life series videos. I purposely, as you can see, I'm a little bit different today. The subject matter, this goes along with the subject matter that I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to go over a very, very touchy, very sensitive, very personal subject. So bear with me as I do my best to share it with you. I purposely waited for one of these days today, I purposely strategized and waited on my agenda of things to do to share this video with you during these days, and I'll share with you in a minute why. Or I'll just share with you that what I'm going to talk about today is something that every single woman goes through. We just go through it at different degrees and different times of our lives. But I'm going to talk to you about something that happens to women, which is PMSing. And I know, very unfortunate. It's so unfortunate that if you hashtag, because if you hashtag PMSing or you hashtag hormones, there's so many jokes about it. There's so many. I mean, people think that they're funny, but wow. And we could kid around about it, but oh man, it's so hard to look at those. But it's a very serious matter, and I'm gonna kind of go over that with you from the sense that we go through it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share with you a tool that my husband and I have used that really, honest to goodness, this is in all sincerity, changed the course of our marriage. I mean, and if you can understand that women go through this every single month, month in, month out, and some of us have different patience or level of patience, and some of us have different levels of dramaticness. And so you can kind of see how it would affect your marriage when you pile on different issues that you might be having in that month, and it kind of could stress out a situation. And so my husband and I'll share with you a little bit about how we got through it, and we got a tool and we applied it in our marriage, and it completely changed everything. I'm so excited, and I was so happy and grateful that it did. And to this day, 22 years of being together, we still use it to this day. I'm going to share with you that in a minute, but I kind of want to share with you a little bit about what happens with our PMS and how it changes. I know for myself, I've always PMSed, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've always PMSed, but I think right around when I got to be almost 40, and certainly once I hit 40, it got to a different level. So I learned, it's so crazy how I didn't know about PMDD until about a year ago, literally until maybe about a year ago. I learned that there was such a thing called PMDD. I only knew of PMS, but I knew in my heart of hearts, I knew in my body, I recognized it, my husband recognized it. We both knew that something was different and that something was getting 10 times worse and just so unmanageable. And honestly, just really literally unmanageable. It was affecting my whole life. And but unfortunately, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. But let me just kind of share with you, how did it begin to change? In about 2010, I started to feel different in my periods. I turned 40 in 2010, and I started to feel different. Things started to change. My PMS became more and more controlling. Along with that, I started to get very, very heavy bleeding. And let me just share with you, if you're a husband watching with your wife, just kind of get ready. I'm gonna do my best to do it in a tasteful way, but you can only, I mean, it is what it is. We have to be descriptive, and so I'm gonna be descriptive, and hopefully it's not too gory for you. I'm gonna do my best not to do that. That's not the purpose of this, but I do want to give you a good idea of what happens to women, because I really love, if you're a husband or if you're a wife, I encourage you to watch it with your husband, because if us women don't know, can you imagine how much less our husbands know? Our husbands really have absolutely no idea, especially if they were not raised with sisters, especially if maybe they had one sister who didn't share. Men are oblivious to this, especially, I mean, if I was oblivious to it, men, can you imagine, are oblivious to it. So the more that we can educate and communicate with our spouses, the better. And so when I turned 40 is when I really began to see a difference. I remember the first thing that happened to me was the very first time. I remember my husband and I were traveling together, working together during the day, and I was on my cycle. And I remember feeling, women, when we need to change, right? When we need to change our feminine products, so we need to change. I remember having that sensation of, okay, I need to go to the restroom. I couldn't wait till we reached our destination, put it to you that way. So I told my husband, we need to stop at a restroom. So we stopped, thinking like it was, like any other day when a woman, myself, needed to use the restroom. So I went to the restroom. We stopped at a Burger King, and I got, my bag so I could be prepared to change what I needed to change. And I went to the restroom, and as I went to prepare and pull down my pants, I felt a huge discharge of stuff. I felt a huge discharge of blood, and which had never happened to me before. If that ever happened, where you seep through a little bit, you sit down, everything's fine. There's no emergency situation. It's fine. You can still do it. Change or what have you. But that day, I went to take my pants off, and out came a huge clot, just like a huge, thick water balloon of something like a as thick as like a mayonnaise, if you will, but of course red. The texture was like a mayonnaise, where it just plopped on the floor and just all over, and it was coming out. And I know, for me, if somebody would have told me that before, I would think, well, what's wrong with you? I mean, did you just miscarry a baby or something? That's how it felt. But honestly, I had never even knew that was possible, because it had never happened to me. I was 40 years old, and nothing like that had ever happened to me before. So that day, of course, of course, we're on our menstrual cycle. So number one, we're already emotional as it is. So when that happened to me, of course, I had to clean it up, and I had to clean the floor up, and it was just horrible, a horrible situation. And so I went back, and I was panicking, and told my husband, hurry up, open the door. And we went home. Needless to say, canceled the day, went home. And little did I know that was the first of many situations like that. So it came that every single month, like, I had to be aware. I had to just say, as much as I did not want to leave my house, as much as I wanted to leave my house and go be functional, I just could not. It was just not possible, because it would just come out. And I remember being on appointments. I remember being the type of business that my husband and I did. We were at the kitchen table with clients, sitting across the table in people's homes, every day in people's homes. And I remember being on cycles, and I remember, having to ask to use the restroom and barely making it to the restroom, and I remember one time distinctly, I was in a client's home, and I had already been hemorrhaging, so I was very dizzy. I didn't know, again, I can't believe, as I look back, I can't believe when I look back and think, I can't believe, Gab, that you were out there at that hour of the night, feeling how you were feeling, and still functioning. The reason I did this is because I didn't know how severe the situation was. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that, okay, it's my cycle, and I'm not gonna call in sick, or I'm not gonna cancel my day because of my cycle. But I didn't know how anemic I was. I had no idea what was going on. I just knew that the show must go on. And I was in the restroom, I'll never forget, and I pulled down my pants, same thing. And this house had a nice restroom, and they had their bathroom mats. And I remember I made a mess on a client's bathroom mat, and I couldn't believe, I was by myself, and I had I picked it up and got water, and I was trying to do my best to clean it, and my husband is outside, and the clients are outside, and I'm freaking out in the restroom. What do I do? I panicked. I went out there, pretended like nothing even happened. And I told my husband, okay, let's go. We said our goodbyes, and we left. I didn't even tell the client. I was so overwhelmed I was just, no words could say what I felt, and we left, and I told my husband in the car. They never called us, they never said complain or whatever, but it was just so, embarrassing. And that's kind of what I dealt with for years. And then right after, when that was happening, I started to notice my emotions got even more out of control, and more, more panic, more frustration, more anxiety. And so it was happening every month. And so my husband and I, thank God that we had already, thank God that my husband and I had already gotten this tool that I'm going to share with you, that we had already gotten the tool. And so I'm going to share that with you, because can you imagine what happens a lot of times in marriages right there, in that situation, when a woman is feeling all of these things, and if a lot of women, how we kind of hold it in and we don't explain ourselves, a lot of times our husbands, kind of innocent bystanders in this whole scenario, because they understand that we're on our cycle, ladies, but they don't understand to what degree. They don't understand what's exactly happening in our hormones. So they're kind of innocent bystanders of putting their foot in their mouth sometimes. It's not really their fault once they know. So my husband and I would go through situations prior to these years. Thank God, again, we learned this when I was in my 30s, right? This was when I was 40, but when I was in my 30s, my husband would say things, he would say things every month, make jokes about it, just like it doesn't make him a bad person in his not knowingness, right? And his trying to deal with it. Just like a lot of men, a lot of men, they joke around, and the woman, unfortunately, we're the butt of the joke. We're being made fun of, and so we're kind of want to play along with it, but it hurts. It's very devastating when people are making fun of something that you have absolutely no control of. We can't control what's happening. We can just make the best of it. And so it caused issues where I would get so out of hand upset, and he would say something, and of course we would snap back, and just a mess. And then a week later, we realized, okay, I was PMSing, and you guys know, ladies, right? You know what happens. And so we went to therapy. Many of you guys know that my husband and I went to counseling, went to therapy. And one of the things I've shared with you already, the cup is red, right? That's on my live Facebook feed. I should make a video of that one too, so we could post that one. But the cup is red is on my live Facebook feed. But that was one tool that we learned. I would say, and if you ask my husband, we're in complete on the same page. Of the therapy that we went to, the two biggest things that we walked away from that completely changed the course of our marriage was, one of them was the cup is red, that's not what it's called. That's what I nicknamed it, right? The cup is red, where we say, I think I hear you saying this, right? That. But the other thing is this, what I'm going to share with you right now, is our cycle. Believe it or not. So the therapist said, Gabby, what is it? Is there anything else? And I said, yes, my husband and I shared about what happens every single month without fail. It causes more problems because my husband is very insensitive to what I'm feeling and so forth. Which of course he wasn't doing it on purpose. This is just learned behavior. This is what, he learned. And so, but it was causing a lot of conflict with myself and my husband. So the therapist went ahead and shared with my husband, and he said, Robert, that what they go through is very real. And so he explained to my husband the hormonal, exactly what our bodies go through every 30 days and so forth, and share with my husband, this is very real, what goes on with the woman's body. And so the therapist said, Gabby, what would you say? He asked me, do you like chocolate or anything like that? Do you like, candies and stuff? I said, I do, but I'm not really a chocolate person. He says, well, what do you like? What kind of a munchie, what kind of snack or sweet do you like? And I said, well, I like Slurpees. I love Slurpees, and I forgot what candy it was at the time. And so he said, okay, well, Gabby, what would you say if your husband, instead of, because my husband would say things like, here we go. A lot of times, ladies and guys, my husband, 99% of the time, my husband knows before I do. He always has. My husband knows before I do that I'm PMSing. I won't even know, but my husband can already see it. And so he would say things like, here we go. Oh my goodness, here it comes again. Or he would say things like, in all sincerity, he wasn't even trying to be mean, but he would say, babe, you know why you're feeling this way. You know that you're not feeling good right now, and forget it. Why do you say that? So so that's what happened. So the therapist said, what would you do, Gabby, if instead of your husband responding like that, what would you do if the moment your husband noticed that you're going through that, or that it's that time of the month, what would you say if he said, babe, do you want me to go get you a Slurpee and some candy? And I immediately, my face, I got a smile on my face, and he said, Robert, did you see what just happened to your wife? And my husband said, yes. And he said, see, Robert, it's that easy. If first of all, he said, do you love your wife and all that? Yes, of course I love my wife. Do you want to make her happy? Yes. So he said, Robert, could you do that? If next time, if you see your wife, it's obvious to you that she's starting this, hormonal schedule. If you see that your wife is going through it, could you do that? Could you say, babe, do you want me to go get you a Slurpee? Do you need some Slurpee? Do you need some candy? You want me to go get it for you? do you think you could do that? My husband said, well, yes, of course. My husband is very coachable when it comes to that. If I tell my husband, I want you to call me this, he'll do it. If he, he really wants to make his wife happy. So of course he told the therapist, yes, I could do that. So then immediately, that's what we did. Immediately, my husband would do that. The very next month, once he saw that I wasn't feeling good, my husband would say that, babe, he wouldn't mention anything. He didn't say, I know it's that time of the month. He wouldn't even make a reference to that. But he would say, babe, do you want me to go get you a Slurpee? I could go get it for you. I'm going to go get you a Slurpee and some candy. And I mean, it wasn't even, at that point, my husband didn't even have to do it. He doesn't even have to go get it. What makes me feel immediately better and loved is just the mere fact that he asked. It's the mere fact that I know that he knows that I'm going through it, but he didn't take the opportunity to rub it in my face. He didn't. He ignored it because he knows that I don't have any control of that. Men, trust me, we don't have any control of it. I wish that we did. We are gentlemen. Honestly, we are. It's to a lot of women, it's humiliating, it's embarrassing, we can't stand that we act that way, we wish that it wasn't. And the mere fact that our spouse forgoes that opportunity to make fun of us or to make a joke at our expense, but instead to say, babe, do you want me to go get you a Slurpee? Do you want me to go get you some candy? Just that alone would make me feel so much better. And so from that point on, my husband has always done that. Working together at home, my husband will say something like, babe, I think it's an icy and popcorn, because he knows, at Target, we love to go get an icy and popcorn. He'll tell me, babe, I think it's an icy and popcorn day. You want me to take you to get an icy and a popcorn? Or he'll hug me ever so sweetly, and he'll say, babe, and this is before I even know, ladies, I have no idea that I'm PMSing. I have no idea that this is happening to me, but I know instantly when he says something like that, he'll say, babe, do you want me to take you to a movie, babe? I think it's a movie and an icy and popcorn. What do you think? What do you think? You want me to take you want me to take you to go see a movie? We'll get some icy and we'll get some popcorn and we'll just relax. Just hearing those words makes me say, yes, babe, I do, right? I mean, it just makes everything feel so much better. Why am I sharing that with you? Because what we go through is very real. There's nothing we could do about it. We're gonna go through it. I mean, there's no secret to Mother Nature, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, Mother Nature has got us. I mean, we can't crack that code. But as a husband and wife, we've got to figure out a way to get through it, or otherwise our marriage is going to suffer. We really are going to suffer, because if you haven't started going through that time, you've got to come up with some tools. You've got to come up with a way of communicating to each other. You've got to come out, ladies. I mean, a lot of us ladies are very strong nowadays. We're very confident. We have careers. We're great moms. We want to do this, that, and the other, and be a good wife. And it becomes very stressful, and it becomes a lot when our hormones get out of control. So we've got to get good at communicating with each other, how to help one another. Ladies, you got to tell your husband, help me help you to have a better life, right? Help me to help you to feel better by helping me. So you got to get through that. And if you, ladies, husbands and wives, if you go through that and practice that together, it is magical. That tool right there helped take our marriage and keep our marriage so much respectful, so much more compassionate in everything. And so for me, ladies, I know that just by my husband and myself applying that trick together and loving each other enough to communicate it, to share, and for my husband to care enough about me to do that, makes my PMSing, it makes it so much better. It makes me feel so much better just to have that acknowledgement. Just for my husband to know, babe, I know what he's not saying it, but just by asking me that, he's telling me, babe, I know that you're going through something. I can't understand what you're going through. I don't understand, but I can make it better. Just by him sharing that with me makes my time, this 7 to 10 to 15 days, depending on where in the change of life you are, the 7 to 10 to 15 days of the month that we go through it, it makes it tolerable. It makes us to be able to do better. And you guys know that I'm on my new regime, right? And so it has helped tremendously. But yet still, like I said, we cannot crack the code 100% on Mother Nature. So some of those things are still there. And this tool, still, after 22 years of being together, my husband and I didn't figure out this code until we were together about 10 years. It was about 10 years of being together that we finally, so over the last 10 in 12 years, no, it's actually about 10 years ago that my husband and I figured this out, and it has changed everything. So I hope that you guys, as husbands and wives for each other, men, our wives, our husbands deserve to be loved every bit as much as we deserve to be loved. And during this time, it could challenge us to forget about one another for different reasons. So if you apply this for yourselves, guys, if you apply this in your marriage, I just want to do a little bit to help you to get through it, to make this a little bit of a better, much better time for you. So I hope that that helps. If it does, if you enjoy the video, I would love to hear back from you. You have no idea what your feedback does to me. It strengthens me, it encourages me. And I look forward to each and every word that you guys have to say. I hope that you subscribe to Mrs. Gabby G, the channel, and I hope that you like the videos, and I hope to see you on the next one. Talk to you soon.